I remember we were doing finishing the album in L.A. and Graham Nash and was finishing his record in the other room, and Steve Lukather was in the other room.
He's a fucking monster.
Oh, he's a monster.
He's a fucking monster.
But he had, this was 1980. He had a guy, he had two Marshall stacks, 100-watt stacks, and he had a guy who was doing his tones for him. He had all this gear that I'd never seen before. It was like, and it was bleeding through the walls. Like, you know, we'd go in and check it out, and you walk down this little hall to the thing, and there's the relief door, and then there's the studio door for the soundproofing and everything. And you could hear him. You could hear the amps through the soundproofing. Yeah. And it's like we're talking about rock this thick. Yeah. All right, walls this thick, and the door opened to where you could hear how loud it was. Yeah. And we had a couple of blown takes because of the noise coming from the other studio, and we were at least 100 feet away. Wow. It was that loud. Wow. But he had a guy in there dialing up his tones, and Lukather is just not getting any work.
I saw him playing with Glenn Campbell.
Yes, he's playing with Glenn Campbell.
This was, before Glenn was really
but
bad.
He's doing those kind of gigs now to make money.
It was amazing. Amazing. He could keep up with Glenn Campbell.
Did you say he was playing with Graham Nash? That doesn't sound right.
Oh, he was playing on Graham Nash record, yeah.
What? What's that?
What?
Oh, no, you caught up the telescope. Uh-oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Oh, there's going to be a crisis.
That's my hawk watcher.
Hawk watcher?
Yeah, there's
the neighbor.
There's a hawk nest about
the lobster's loose.
About a mile that way that I've been watching.
Yeah.
Oh. Red hawk.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, who's the craziest person you ever met in the music industry?
Jesus.
You've met a lot. Who is nuts?
Jesus. Nuts?
And just like you think, like this person's nuts. They're successful, but they're nuts. Successful, but nuts.
They're not nuts anymore. David Crosby. I opened for him at the Golden Bear, and he was doing crack. He was smoking freebase. And you walk into the backstage. When we got there for sound check at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was down in Huntington Beach, and walked in, and everything was fine. Did sound check. Went to my little dressing room, little sub boy dressing room. And, ate a little something and started taking a nap, and then all of a sudden I remember waking up to the smell of like you were in a doctor's office. And he had, it was the weirdest thing. I went out and did my little 40 minutes, and let's get David Crosby out here, and then 30 minutes goes by, now David Crosby, 30 minutes more goes by, now David Crosby, and the owner of the club calls me up, comes to the dressing room and says, "Can you go out and do another set?" I said, "Sure." So I went out and did another set, and wasn't as well received as the first set. And, David will be out in just a minute, golf applause, nice putt. And
this is great.
And it's like it goes on another 30 minutes. Yeah. And there were 2 shows. So there was a second show's waiting. And it was only like a 250, 300 seat room.
Yeah.
And the guy comes back to the dressing room again and says, could you play again? And it's like, nah, it's like that didn't go so well the last time. It's like, are you going to pay me again? Well, you're already here. And I said, yeah, well, are you going to pay me again? He said, all right, I'll touch you up a little bit. And those were those things where you'd make $250, right? Yeah. And went out and played some more, like 3 or 4 more songs. And finally he comes out, and meanwhile the crowd outside is getting testy, and more golf applause. And Crosby came out and he started playing Triad, which is one of my favorite songs he ever wrote. And he got, first of all, he walks on stage and he's playing solo.
Yeah.
And he walks on and you know, free bass and solo.
Don't go.
Not good.
Yeah.
And he starts playing the song, he gets about 4 lines into it and stops.
Ooh.
But he blew a ring of smoke over the front row crowd as he's walking on stage.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I went up to the Crow's Nest with that guy from Fender that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Just to sit and watch, and it was not pretty. And that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And they had a limo come show up, and some big guy comes in with, you know, another guy with him, and they go into the main dressing room, and all of a sudden, you know, it smelled like a hospital.
Oh my gosh.
It was awful.
Oh,
It was just awful.
Did he finally get his act together?
Oh, yeah. Well, not that night.
Not that night.
Oh, no,
Eventually.
Now,
yeah, but that
yeah.
night.
No,
Yeah.
sounds like not.
Yeah.
Probably the second show didn't happen either.
The second show didn't happen. It was some angry people. I was the only guy who made money that night. How about that?
Everybody knew who you were.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. He's delightful.
Oh my gosh.
Craziest person.
Just nuts, man.
Ray Wiley Hubbard,
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Texas songwriter. He's
Uh-huh.
he's funny
Yeah,
as shit.
yeah.
Crazy guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no shortage of crazy people. Most of them work on Wall Street.
Funnest gig you ever had?
The other night.
Okay. Bluebird?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
we were funny. It was funny.
Bluebird
It
is
was
great. Bluebird is great.
It was funny.
It's-
Amy Poehler was there.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. And
I love
you
her.
know, with
Is
Jelly
she
and I,
fat now, or
huh?
is she lost her weight?
you know what? I think she was camouflage dressing. I was sitting outside warming
Camouflage.
up on that little plank outside, that staircase thing outside. Jelly and I were sitting out there, and there was a Comedy Palooza thing down at T-Pack or something the next night, and she was there with Nick Cole, or is that his name? Another comedian that she's seeing. And it's like 7 or 8 people get out of the car and come up the deal and come up the stairs, and I'm sitting there warming up, and Jelly's sitting there, and they walk by, and it's like I look